kids, good morning, how are you? Welcome to this class. I hope all of you are fine. And before I continue, please let me know if you can listen to me, if everything is fine, my dear kids. Please tell me. Hello, good morning, everybody. I'm sorry because of the delay. So we are going to begin, but before we begin, please let me know, my dear kids, if everything is fine, if you can listen to me. Please tell me. I have it here. Brian, Anna Pau, thank you. Thank you for answering me, Alan. Anna Pau, thank you for telling me that everything is fine. So we are going to continue with the class of today, my dear kids. And we are going to check, well, before I continue, I want to tell you, to explain to you a little bit the reason why I was not in here. I was having huge stomachache yesterday. That's why I couldn't be with you, and apologize. I'm going to try, no, it doesn't happen again. And let's continue, okay, my dear kids? And because of the activity, I know that they sent you a message to tell you that you didn't have to do any activity yesterday. In the classroom, if you check the classroom of yesterday, it's supposed that in there you had to answer 2 pages of the student's book, okay? So don't worry, if you did it, thank you very much. If you didn't do it, don't worry. In the next mid-session that we have, my dear kids, we are going to answer together these 2 pages, okay? So don't worry. It was the second and third pages of the student's book, the activity of yesterday. But if you didn't do it, don't worry, because it was the instruction of teacher Juan, of the principal of the school, not to do anything. So don't worry. We are going to answer these 2 pages in the next mid-session that we have. Okay, my dear kids? And today we are going to check, it says in here, Wednesday, April 28, 2021, and we are going to check today the present perfect simple with ever and never. Yesterday, it's supposed that we were going to begin with the present perfect simple, okay? So I'm going to explain to you right now the present perfect. Does anybody in here know something related to present perfect? If you say no, no problem, we are going to check. Thank you, Ana Pao and Alan, for answering that. That is clear that you don't have to answer the books, okay? So I'm going to work right now with the topic that we had to check yesterday. So don't get confused. We are going to check the topic, but it's not necessary for you to answer the pages. We are going to answer them together. But I need to explain the topic of yesterday because it's related to the topic that we are going to check today. They are, it's just a little changed from the topic that it's supposed that we had to see yesterday with the one that we have to see today, my dear kids. Yesterday was present perfect simple, and today is present perfect simple with ever and never. Which is going to be the difference? Okay, I'm going to tell you. We use the present perfect simple to talk about actions that began in the past but that you continue doing in the present. That is one of the uses. The second one is to talk about actions that you did in the past but you are not being specific the moment that you did the action. And third one is going to be used in order to talk about experiences. So today the idea was to talk about experiences, and that's when we use the word ever and never. Okay, we are going to check in here. It says ever means all the time, and we can use ever in question and goes between the verb have and the past participle form of the verb. Okay, my dear kids, so let me continue with this, and I'm going to explain a little bit in order you have the idea of the difference between the one that we were going to check yesterday and the one of today. Okay, so it says in here that the present perfect is going to be worked or is going to be used with the verbs in past participle. Remember that I always tell you, my dear kids, to have your workbook by your side. And at the back, in the last page of the workbook, in there you are going to find your verbs in present, in simple past, and in past participle. For the present perfect, you are going to use the past participle form of the verbs. So the third line, that is going to be. And in the book appears only irregular verbs. Why they always place irregular verbs in the book? Because obviously are the most difficult for kids to learn because they changed. Okay, so thank you, my dear Napao. In this case, we are going to use just past participle form of the verb. It doesn't matter if we are in affirmative, in negative, or in interrogative form, my dear kids. Oh, and that is the easy part of the present perfect simple, that the verbs are never going to change. They are going to be the same all the time, okay? So in this case, I'm going to use as an auxiliary, the main auxiliary is going to be the have. Depends, obviously. If it is third person, remember that you need to use has. In this case, I'm going to write that you need the subject. After the subject, you need the action. No, sorry, the action, not the auxiliary. After the auxiliary, that in this case I told you, that is going to be have or has, depending on the subject. In the case of the negative, it's going to be haven't or hasn't, plus the past participle form of the verb, participle verb, plus the complement. In this case, this is going to be the way that you express an idea of something that you did in the past, but that that action continues in the present, or that you did in the past, but you are not giving a specific moment that you did the action. In this case, I'm going to play an example for you. My sister. In here, my sister is a third person, so we are going to use has. My sister has played the piano. It can be science. She was 10. Okay? My sister has, we have in here the subject. We have the auxiliary for the third person in affirmative form because this is an affirmative idea. Okay? The verb in this case is the verb in past participle and the complement. Okay? If I want to express this idea into negative, I don't have to write. If I don't want, because it's not necessary anymore, I know that I am talking about my sister, I'm going to write she. Negative auxiliary, in this case is hasn't. Verb, the same past participle form. Piano. Science, she was 10. And in the case of the interrogative form, you know that all the questions are going to begin with the auxiliary, right? So it's going to be has. When we do question, it's better to write or the proper name of the person or the complete noun. So, has my sister played the piano since she was 10 years old? Obviously, really important, my dear kids, question mark. Teacher, but I know that is a question because I have the auxiliary at the beginning. It doesn't matter. Really important to place the question mark at the end all the time that you are writing any of them, okay? In the case of another one, well, we know that this is negative form and this is interrogative. How do you know that this idea is affirmative? Because you have the auxiliary in affirmative form. How do you know that is negative? Because you have the same auxiliary but into negative. How do you know that is a question? Because you begin with the same auxiliary. Okay, my dear kids? And in this case of another subject that, let's say, that is a plural, okay? We have gone to the store. In here, we have plural. That's why we have, we write have instead of has, because this is plural, okay? Verb, past participle, and the complement. In the case of the negative, if you have any question, please write in the chat, my dear kids. I have read a book, Science, April. Well, in this case, it's April 21st. Okay, my dear? April 21st. We haven't gone to the store. How do you know that it's negative? Because you have the auxiliary negative form, and if you check, the verb is never going to change. Okay? Interrogative form, we begin with the auxiliary. Have we gone to the store? Okay, have, because it's a question, verb, past participle. That is the easy part in here. Never is going to change, okay? The verb is going to keep the same always. Remember that in present, take this, take this, play this. But in this case, the verb is going to keep the same all the time. All the time. We haven't done our homework. Yes, that is correct. Okay? In this case, this verb, this way, is going to be used in order to talk about actions that you began in the past and continue doing the actions in the present, or when we want to talk about something that you did in the past but you are not being specific the moment that it happened. Okay, my dear kids? And if you check, it's going to be a piece of cake. Now, let's continue with the one of today. Please let me know in the chat if you have any question, any doubt related to this. And that's why I tell you that it's important for you to have the verbs always, your workbook opened in the part of the verbs. In order, if you don't remember one, you can check in there. And I am not asking you to be studying, go went on, go went, that is not correct. You are going to learn them by using them, by practicing them. Okay, so just keep your book open in the moment that you are answering an exercise, that you are creating your own ideas, in order you can practice them, and that is the best way for you to learn them, my dear kids. Okay. Yes, it's the one that I have already said, my dear. Yeah, is the subject plus the have or has, depending on the subject, the verb in past participle plus the complement. In the case of the affirmative, in the case of the negative, the change is haven't, hasn't, and in the case of the interrogative, is going to be have, has at the beginning, that is the auxiliary. Okay? Now, the one of today, it says that it's going to be present perfect with ever and never. In this case, we use the ever and never in order to talk about experiences, something that you want to tell somebody that you have done. Experiences, okay? And which is going to be the way that we are going to make a questions. Make questions, okay? Have you ever, I don't know, eaten worms? So we said that ever in this case is going to be, let me check because I have in here all of them mixed up. Okay. It's going to be here, ever is going to be placed between the verb in past participle and the subject. And ever means alguna vez. So in this case, you are talking about experiences. Have you ever eaten worms? ¿Alguna vez has comido gusanos? Oh, yes, teacher. Come on. Yes, disgusting. Oh, well. Negate verbs. Okay, there are differences, okay? In this case, we are going to use ever in order to ask for experiences. Alguna vez, ever, alguna vez. ¿Alguna vez has comido gusanos? And we have different kind of answers. In the case of the negative, that's why the topic says ever and never. You're going to answer, no, I have never eaten worms. So be careful in here. Be careful because I told you a few moments ago that the negative form is haven't, right? But be careful. In English, we can't have two negative words together. In this case, we say that never is a negative form, my dear kids. It's not correct to have in here never and in here haven't. You need to have just one negative word. And in here never is going to be the correct one. So when you, with this specific topic, you want to give a negative answer, it's going to be no, I have never. Okay, he has never, we have never, they have never, my mommy has never. Okay, never is going to tell you no. Okay, and in the case of the affirmative, yes, I have once eaten worms. In this case, once is going to be an adverb of time. In here, we are, no, verb of time, no, I'm crazy. An adverb of frequency, okay? Never. Once. I can write in here also twice. Remember that once is the short of one time. Twice is the short form of two times. So it's better to say once than to say just one time, teacher. Just two times, teacher. No, it's better to say once or twice. Or you can say usually, always, often, sometimes. Okay, so these are the words that you are going to use in order to answer questions with ever. Okay? Teacher, can I say just yes I have? Yes, of course. If you say yes I have, you are telling that you have had that experience, but you are not being specific if it has been recently or well, it was here recently. Well, actually, I'm missing a lot of expressions here, but we are going to practice first with these ones, okay? Have you eaten worms? Yes, teacher, I have recently eaten worms. Last week that I went to Oaxaca, I ate some worms in there. Ah, excellent, pretty good. Okay, so let me check. Have you ever seen a ghost? Yes, of course, that is a correct idea. Have you ever seen a ghost? No, I have never seen a ghost. Thank God, okay? Or yes, last week I saw a ghost in a movie, okay? Or yes, I have seen a ghost once, or I once saw a ghost. I was in my house. You begin telling the story. So remember, the topic of today is going to be used in order to talk about experiences. When you want to ask somebody if they have or haven't done an activity. Okay, my dear kids, so let me check. Let me check in here. A little bit, my dear kids. So I'm going to ask some questions and you are going to answer them for me, okay? Obviously through the chat. And let me check in here. I'm going to ask. But remember that you have to answer in a long form, in the long answer, because it's correct also to say yes, yes I have, no, no I have never. That is correct, but right now I want to practice with you the long answers, okay? So let's say, and about, have you ever driven a car? Okay, and about, have you ever driven a car? Mireya, have you ever eaten candies all day? All day? Brian, have you ever flown by plane? Have you ever flown by plane? Paola, have you ever gone to Japan? Gloria, have you ever ridden a horse? Gloria, have you ever ridden a horse? Aidan, have you ever had a girlfriend? Aidan. Said, have you ever written a poem? Catherine, have you ever swum in Acapulco? Renata, have you ever copied in an exam? Okay, so please, in this case, I'm going to begin with these questions. Please, the people that I have already asked, write for me a long answer. It can be obviously affirmative or negative, but I need the long one, okay? It says in here, yes, I have twice driven a car. Excellent, pretty good. So tell me right now if you have any question related to the topic. Please, let me know if there is a question related to the topic. Okay, my dear Aidan, remember that I asked you to write the complete answer because you told me, no teacher, I haven't. But you haven't what? Because maybe the partners and also the teacher, we don't remember the question, okay? So if we don't remember the question because all of them were different, my dear boy, I need you to tell me the complete answer. No, teacher, I have never is having. No having, I'm going to kick your pumpy. I have never, because remember that in this case we are talking about experiences. When we talk about experiences, we are not going to use haven't. We are going to use have never. Okay, so Aidan made me the big favor to write again your correct answer, my dear boy. Okay, no question. Thank you very much. This is an easy topic. It's a pretty usual expression or way to express our ideas. Okay, you say, Mommy, you know, I have made, I don't know, I have created a new color in biology class. So that is a new experience that you are talking about it with your mommy, okay? I have created a new color today in biology class. So it is an experience. When you use an experience, or you talk about an experience, you are going to use these adverbs and the word Renatita. No, I have never. Okay, Renatita, remember, my dear girl, we are going to use past participle form of the verbs. Remember, not the verb in present, not the verb in past, but the verb in past participle. In this case, remember that the regular verbs, my dear Renata, are going to be the same in past participle, are going to be the same, my dear. So in this case is I have never copied. C-O-P-I-E-D is the correct spelling of the verb. I have never copied an exam, okay? Okay, my dear Aidan, I'm waiting for your answer. No, I have never gone to Japan. Okay, pretty good. I have never is not having. I have never gone to Japan. Okay, I have never. Yes, I have traveled by plane. Okay, I have traveled by plane is correct. Of course that is correct. But it's better because you are talking about an experience. It's going to be better if you say the frequency that you have done this activity. So you can say, yes, teacher, I have flown by plane twice. He volado en avión 2 veces. Or yes, teacher, I have usually flown by plane. Yo seguido he volado en avión. So in this case, you are telling that the experience was not just one time. It has happened more several times, más veces. Okay? So, no, I have never. But you have never what, Aidan? Or you have already forgotten the question and you are just guessing the answer? I have never what, my dear boy? Which was the question for you? Maybe you don't remember, right? Is correct to... Okay, be careful, my dear Anna Pao. It says, but is correct to say, not to say, because to is always with the base form of the verb and you are using the past. So is correct to say, yes, I have ever? Yes, but in this case, I don't want you to get confused. Why? Because ever, it means that all the time. But in the book, in the topic that we are checking in this specific book, it says or it asks you to use the ever just for the question, not for the answers. But yes, you are correct. We can use ever also for the answer. You know that, for example, in the movies they say, and they lived happily forever and ever. Por siempre y para siempre. Forever and ever. So, yes, that is correct. Yes, he said, thank you for your correction, my dear Annabelle. Because remember that it's important for you. It's important for you to make your own correction when you realize that you had a mistake. Not here, I have never. Ah, come on, Aidan, don't write that. Okay, no, teacher. I have never, and it's missing for you, my dear boy, the verb. Okay, why the verb? Because in here I don't have a verb. You have just the auxiliary. No, teacher, I have never had. That is the past participle of the verb. No, teacher, I have never had a girlfriend. Nobody has been worldly. Okay, pretty good. Well, you'll find one later. Right now, the idea is for you to study. Okay, my dear Aidan? Okay, my dear kids, so tell me no questions. If there are no questions, we continue. And well, now you are going to go to answer the pages of the workbook that are for today, and they are a piece of cake. Okay, so if there are no questions, my dear kids, we are going to finish in here. Okay, no teacher, no questions. Thank you. Okay, teacher. Well, it means that you don't have any questions related to the topic. See you tomorrow for the next class, my dear kids. Thank you, my dear Anapa, for telling me that there are no questions. Okay, so thank you, Ivan. Okay, so see you the next class that is tomorrow, my dear kids. Please do everything. Don't forget to write your personal information in the pages that you answer. Don't forget to send just one photo of the complete page, one photo of the complete page, a clear photo, and answer everything. Okay, my dear kids. So see you tomorrow. Have a great afternoon. Take care of yourself. Don't go out if it's not necessary. See you. Bye, my dear kids.